We're live, Kmax.
All right. Hello, and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way we experience them. We create a perception of sound, perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. I'm your humble co-host, Kmax. And to my right is your man, my man, Tin Man.
Hello.
To my left is the founder of the feast, Mr. Vosley.
Oh, Mr. Vosley's my father. Call me Dr. Vosley.
He didn't go to 4 years of med school for nothing. On this, our final episode of the season, I'm pleased to present the nostalgic Christmas classic, White Christmas. The 1954 American musical film, directed by Michael Curtiz and starring Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and Vera Allen, filmed in Technicolor. It features the songs of Irving Berlin, including a new version of the title song, introduced in the 1942 film Holiday Inn, for which it won an Oscar. Singers Bob Wallace and Phil Davis joined Sister Act, Betty and Judy Haynes, to perform a Christmas show in rural Vermont in hopes of helping out General Waverly, their commanding officer in World War II. And with that, I hand it over to the founder of the feast, Mr. Vosley.
All right. Beautifully done, Kmax.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll list off what the topics will be for today. Of course, we always have our reactions. We will have Kmax go last because he is the only one of the three of us that has seen it before this chapter. We'll also compare values in the movie to today's movies, the types of Christmas movies and the values that the characters hold, and how different that is between the two ages. Because right now that's 70 years difference now?
Yeah.
Goodness. And also, like always, we'll go through our favorite scenes, what we think the theme is and why. But today we're also going to compare this Christmas choice with our previous two Christmas choices. And we'll also see if this movie actually holds up as a Christmas movie and kind of relate it back to our original discussion. And because this is our last episode of the season, that is both the Christmas season, as well as the first season of the podcast, we'll kind of do a little bit of a wrap up and just reminisce on what we've done so far. So I guess we'll start with reactions. Since I'm already talking, I think I'll just go.
Yep, go for it.
So, watching it kind of brought up feelings as if I were watching a Hallmark movie from today. And you keep going and you're waiting for, because I've always heard of this movie and the word Christmas is in the title. So I was waiting for it to hit me. When's the Christmas? And you don't get it until way later in the movie. Even references to it you don't even get. It's more snow and and other things, but not Christmas itself. And the finale comes in. It's got a lot of aesthetic there, but the feeling was while watching it was that enough for me to really get warm and fuzzy and cuddly about the Christmas season after watching it. But I will say it takes me back to a simpler time when performers were a thing, like the full package, acting, singing, and dancing. I know I heard you guys say, you're fast forwarding it through the singing portions of it. But I actually enjoyed those because like I said, it took me back to when performers were an act. It wasn't just, I act and I don't sing and I don't dance at all. And, you have Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye kind of doing their thing and being able to, and even the sisters in the movie. There's the one scene where she's tap dancing and what it looks like on screen is just looks like her leg is twitching and you hear the rapid tapping and you're kind of just thinking, Oh, they added in the tapping, and then you look close and you see that the foot actually, like a hummingbird, tapping the floor.
Yep.
Like, holy cow. Made me think of like classic Hollywood at that point. But yeah, that was my first impression. How about Tin Pan?
Tin Pan?
Tin Pan Alley there. Shout out.
I haven't watched a lot of movies from the 50s, so I didn't know what to think of it when I first started watching it. It did take a little bit for like conflict and drama to kind of build into the story. It was neat hearing Bing Crosby like talk and be a regular guy on screen, because you've heard him in songs and you heard his voice kind of recorded for other things. Vaz was talking about he was the voice for the narration, right? For Ichabod Crane, or for the Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Yep.
And so it's like, you're right, there is a face that matches it, and it was kind of neat when he pointed it out. It took me a little bit to get into the movie, though, because I'm kind of used to the more modern conflicts right in your face, start with a bang, But it was neat seeing them do all of it. They did do all the dancing and singing and choreography. And then there is, what I did like, what did kind of pull me in later on while we were watching it, is the little banter that they have, the kind of wise ass cracking banter that they have between each other. And it's like in between. It's here and there. It's kind of fun hearing them like throw a little jab at each other and throw it back. I'm like, okay, it's witty. It was witty, and that's what kind of pulled me back into the story a little bit. It was different. I have not seen a movie from 1950s that's singing like half a musical. It's like half the movie's half musical, built around it, and then it's based. From what I understand, Kmax, it was in order to promote the song. They built the movie kind of based around bringing the song in.
That's right.
And the song is placed in the beginning, and it's kind of a neat backdrop because it starts off with them putting on like a little bit of a show for the general in World War II. So it's like, oh, hey, there's a war going on, and we have like a little like armistice due to Christmas Eve. And there's a new general coming in. They kind of like shoo him away, like oh, take the shortcut. And it's like the scenic route to get him out of the way. And then they do like a solid for the general that they really admire, and then get to pay him back in the end. So yeah, it was neat. It took me a minute. Like I kind of got like out of the story a little bit when it's kind of the two of them just going on their own show. I'm like, I don't understand really what's going on, but it started to pull together near the end. Well, okay, so it was different, but it was good. It was good.
Okay,
we'll say that. That was I just finished watching it like 20 minutes ago. So that's my first.
That is the
my very, very first reaction to it.
So Kmax has had a long history of seeing this movie. I watched the first half of it 2 nights ago, and then finished it with Kmax last night. And Tin Man watched most of it another time.
Yeah,
and
last
finished
night,
it right before we're recording now.
Yep.
So. But Kmax, take us back to...
I'll take you back to the 70s.
Oh,
I'll take you back to the 70s.
You cut me off. I was going to say 50s. But...
I'll take you back as far as I can go. Watching it with my grandmother. Watching Christmas Carol, White Christmas, the Boris Karloff, Grinch. And I think that was the rotation. And then Miracle on 34th Street. And maybe some other classics. I think when I picked this film for my Christmas movie selection, the term nostalgia just riddles my selection. And I remember Vaz saying, if you can find one that kind of supports what you believe to be a Christmas movie, that you'd have to kind of like maybe even argue to support it. I thought this would be a weird one to do because I think it is almost a stretch in sometimes when you're watching it. Is this a Christmas movie? Even though I love it, and even though it has that rich history of watching it when I was 5 years old with my grandmother on her black and white TV and sitting there like it was the best thing I've ever seen. And then I remember waiting, same way I felt with Mr. Vosley last night watching it in my barbershop. Sitting there saying, when does the Christmas happen? And then sitting here with you, Tin Man, a minute ago of saying, I'm telling you, the Christmas is coming, man. Here it comes, and sure enough, the final scene, and Tin Man finally says, "Oh, here's the Christmas," and I'm like, "Yes."
And then it says the end.
And then it says
immediately
the
after
end, like a minute and a half later. It's like, yes. So I think it fit two criteria I was looking for. It fit the whole feel of all those Christmas movies. And again, guilty as charged, I romanticized what Christmas used to be. I romanticized a better time, a simpler time, a time when values and morals were different, a time when you could have ideals and you weren't criticized or seen as cynics didn't just rip you down for having ideals. You had them, you stood by them. And people say, "Oh, that's so hypocritical." That's so, yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. And maybe they could have used a little bit more cynicism, a little more critical analysis. I would venture to guess today's people could use a little bit more idealistic view, a little bit more morals and values. Mm-hmm. And so I picked White Christmas more or less to kind of bring back into focus, death perception, bring back into focus that type of film. And we see some of those values and things, and we'll talk about those a little bit later, that were unique to those times, that we watch them now and we kind of look at each other and kind of smile like, well, listen to that. Or, you wouldn't get away with that now. Or, you know. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess it's just nostalgia. I have one word written there for reaction, nostalgia.
Love it. I like that we, throughout the whole season here, we've picked a lot of movies that are all around on age-wise. You know, this one's between this one and Night of the Hunter.
Yes.
You know, I'm not sure. I can't remember which one is older. But yeah, I'm happy that we got a classic Christmas movie in here and not just fringe ones. But we're gonna press on, and we're gonna have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap dance with Danny F and Kaye.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, this one's old. This one is older than Night of the Hunter.
Oh, there we go.
55.
By a year, right?
1 year. Yep.
Hey, if the preacher in Night of the Hunter was to sing White Christmas, what might that sound like, James?
Hold on.
Just curious.
And now we have Mr. Powell.
Dreaming of a white Christmas.
No, do you still have love and hate tattooed on your knuckles, or is it something else?
That was so good. That is so good.
Cole is on one. Gift and Cole.
Cole and gifts. Oh, thank you so much.
With his left hand that Santa brought. Coal for those bad children.
I'm going to clarify from now on.
My voice has been coming and going. So last week it would have been.
I was hoping you were a little sick still.
Last week it would have hit. It's like, hello, welcome to Death Perception.
Oh, that's great.
Kmax, you brought up values, and I wanted to discuss that a little bit because some of the stuff. I mean, we can relate because I'm the youngest of the three here, and I'm 36. Yes, I am 36. So, and that's the youngest, and so I have some of that, I want to say like classic, like still tough love, responsibility type of focused childhood, but not as much as obviously from the 50s. And, you know, so it was interesting to see how different the people reacted in this movie and how they responded to, I guess, doing what's right, and then compared to like even the movies we've watched this chapter already, Children of Men and Fat Man. And Children of Men is a little bit odd because it was from 2006, but it takes place in like 2027 or something like that. So it's like a movie from the past depicting the future. And then we had a movie from 4 years ago So
Depicting the present and a movie from
right.
depicting the past. Yeah.
So a little odd, but what did you guys notice for a difference in values between now and back then?
I'll throw one out there. So, the one scene where General Waverly's, I believe it's his wife, picks up the phone and she, overhears it's Bing Crosby's character.
Bob
Overhears
Crosby.
Bob Crosby. Bob Wallace. I think it's Bob Wallace. Man, I'm humming a lot today. Overhears him talking to the Ed Harris show about getting the play set up, getting the show set up in the Vermont cabin that they have. She overhears it and thinks that they're trying to exploit the general for not having any money or not, and they're going to use that as a means to maybe make a benefit for him or whatever.
They're going to televise it and get the
televise how bad
commercials.
how hurt he is, so that they can kind of use that as a launch pad.
And even the monetary gain of now the producers are
that's right.
doing the show.
We're going to give you $10,000.
Right.
It was kind of a lot. Was it like 100,000? Might have been like 100,000. I remember thinking it was like a large amount even then.
Right.
But she overhears it and then tells the one sister. The one sister never reveals why she's sour about it. She kind of just keeps that to herself, almost like it's not her place to be blabbing to everyone. This guy, what he's doing, he's trying to screw over the general for his own monetary gain. But she never says anything about it.
Right.
She just keeps it to herself and kind of distances herself from everyone. Like it's almost eating her up, but she doesn't. She's like, you know what? If they're going to do that, I don't want to be a part of it. But granted, she could have probably solved a lot of the problems that they were going through by talking.
Yeah.
But instead of talking about it, she just keeps it in. Like it's not her place.
Yeah, I feel that.
And so it's like a weird, I was like, oh, maybe that's because we were talking and we were like, oh, it's like a Modern Family plot. Someone has some misunderstanding
right.
and then, instead of hilarity ensuing, she just keeps it to herself. And you know what? I'm going to go back to New York. I don't agree with what you're doing. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to blab about it and cause a big fight or a big fuss. I'm just going to remove myself from the problem. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, maybe that's a sign of the times back then where she's taking the high road. That's her way of not being an issue to everyone or causing a big fight. She's like, you know what? I don't agree with it, so I'm just gonna go. Mm-hmm. And after she sees him on the show, she realizes what he's doing, and then she comes back. But that maybe that's just a sign of the times that was the high road. I'm not going to try to get it out there. She's a lady, she's classy. It's not my place. I'm not going to stick around.
I'm going to take a dignified route. I'm not going to be a part of this.
Yeah. It was like a dignified route, right?
You compare that to today, and that person is boycotting outside,
right, or getting everyone against them, or
we need to cancel Bob.
immediately. Cancel Bob. Look what he's doing. I don't agree with how.
Which puts us on a whole new road, because then it's then he says, well, no, I'm not. And now, this guy's lying. He's covering.
Yeah, now he's backtracking. He's flip-flopping now. Yeah.
Right. It's funny that the genesis of that idea was kind of like a conversation of saying, kind of what we talked about last night, too, how frustrating it was that she sat on it and sat on it and sat on it. And we were thinking, just say something, Gilligan.
Yeah.
Say end the conflict right now. Bob is pouring his heart out to you, saying, "What did I do?"
Yeah,
begging you to love him again.
Yep.
And he can't even get you to see him how he was, and he's just begging for a chance. And she wants nothing to do with it. And I think we're maybe applying the values. That's why it got so frustrating. Is we're saying, "Hey, open your mouth," even to the filmmakers. This has gone on long enough.
Yeah.
It's gone on long enough. Let her reveal. Let's move on. Let's move forward here.
And to Bob's, to his character, he just is politely, asking, and he doesn't get overly pushy.
Right.
Is there something I did that was wrong? Is there something I can do? And then he mentions, what knocked this night off its charger. So he's saying, what knocked the the knight off his horse, eventually she gives him a gift at the end. It's a knight on top of the horse. Right. And I'm like, oh, that's what that's from.
Only now does that make sense to me.
Yeah.
I seen her put that gift behind the tree, and I'm like, seems silly. What are you, playing Monopoly?
Yeah, it opens it up. It's like, thank you.
Yeah.
And then kiss. But I only noticed it because the way he said knight, I was like, they spelled it wrong. K-N-I.
Oh, that's
GHT.
right. That's right.
And then I was like, oh, I'm like,
no, that was correct.
And that's what I got afterwards. Yeah. I was like, it is correct because it's a knight that felt that off the charger being the horse, and it's a way of saying it that's not super common now. And I was like, oh, okay. But then she gives him the knight on top of the horse as a gift.
That's pretty cool. Look who's back on top.
Yeah. So that's when like she must have realized, or that's why it brought her back from New York.
Yeah.
Because even when he met her in New York, she still was like, oh, you're still meeting with Mr. Harris for all your money. Okay, whatever. And it kind of distanced herself again. But after she sees the show he puts on, because you could see her face is really like nervous and like almost upset.
That's right.
And then she watches his show that they're trying to promote for him and that he's not getting any of the benefits or whatever. There's not.
I wanted to
exploiting
interject right there because you reminded me, because I pointed out to Kmax, the actress... what's her first name?
Rosemary
Clooney. Yeah. When she was on the screen for most of the movie, but up until that point, her eyes were just so like welcoming, and like she had the smile where her eyes would get small because of her smile is so big. But there's so much life and energy with her eyes. But when she's performing solo at the club towards the end, she was able to draw the life right back out of them. Like it was pretty cool to see that performance.
Outstanding.
But yes, the communication, because this day and age, as a spouse, like I'm constantly trying to work on communication and from my end, trying to understand anything going on from her end. And so seeing this go down where it's all you have to do is say what's bothering you. And like you said, he's asked so politely, and he handles it just as well as anyone today could handle that. Asks, and then when she says no, he's like, okay, well, let's get past it then. Like, well,
is it from last night? Is it because you haven't eaten? Is it because of your sister? What could it be? I'm fine. No, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm like, wait.
Fine.
Was she laying the blueprint for future generations on how to handle it? Because it's not the blueprint.
But also to go on your knight symbolism that you found, that's the club too. I forget the name of it, but
the Carousel Club.
Yeah. So that was part of it. Is like they had all the horses all around there.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty
horses
cool.
with no knights on them.
No knights. Values. I'll jump in values if you don't mind.
Oh yeah.
Can I? So like the 50s, right? Values of men expected to work and support for their families, women expected to marry, have children, stay home and care for them, conformity, consumerism, like post World War II. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then I think the 50s and after World War II, you have a lot of change happening. You have a lot of values shifting a little bit because women took on a bigger role after World War I and World War II in the workforce, and took on a bigger role as far as equality and even, dare I say, sexuality. Like we're gonna do for ourselves here. We can actually enjoy things and not just be playthings and just be admired and adored. Sometimes portrayed as like the conforming woman. Women made up a significant portion of the post-war labor force. In the 50s saw changes in sexual behavior that would lead to the sexual revolution of the 60s. So even in this film, even though it portrayed probably something in the late 40s and was done in the mid 50s, you still had pictures of these women standing up against their landlord, being the fraudulent claim to get them arrested. They were saying, well, he's making this claim and it's not right. That probably wouldn't have even been portrayed in film before that, because they're like, well, you silly woman, no one's going to believe you anyway. So they're standing up for themselves and sure enough, they had to, these men had to help them through that problem. So that's probably 1950s filmmaking right there. Mm-hmm. But even to attempt that theme or that act in a movie seemed a little risky and maybe not done up to that point. So I see them kind of breaking barriers there, and even the idea of venturing out under the wings of these two icons of the performance industry, Bob
right.
To say I'm going to go on my own for value and principle. It's worth it. I got to go on my own. I'm going to go the independent, strong woman. I'm going to go do my own thing in New York.
Yeah.
And that to me showed a little bit of a shift of values. There were some things that
and she was like successful doing it too. It's not even like she had, I'm going to go to New York and struggle. She was like, I'm going to New York because I have a bunch of other things I can book.
Yeah.
She has dancers around her. She was the center of the show.
That's right. So I just thought that as far as values go, you had a lot of those old-fashioned values, but I think you could almost see in the film just a slight shift too. Maybe just a tiny bit of a shift from very old conformist to a little bit more adventurous, a little bit more new frontier.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit also with the values. There's quite the sense of community and togetherness. You had the war, and that's probably a good piece of any. You have a war. Of course, you just want everything to be together again. But you had Bob wanting to be a solo act, and then ends up being a duo act, and then you have the sisters being an act together, and then it takes some convincing, but Bob, ends up agreeing to help go to Vermont, and once they find out the general's part of it, then he's getting everyone together. So I don't know. It could very well be just for the movie's sake, moving the story forward, but I feel like you don't get that sense of community too often anymore. Because even in the two movies that we watched, Fat Man, Santa, it's not like he has a full community, like he's doing it for all of humanity in the country, but there's no like togetherness, like on a like village or town level.
Yeah. And
you see that in a lot of classic Christmas movies where it's the town getting together, and It's a Wonderful Life. It's the town coming together.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was evident here too, and they're like strangers coming to this little ski town, and it's still coming together. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was part of it. I think that spoke to like the nostalgia feel, I guess.
Because I did like how all the military guys were like, "Hey, we're going to do this for the general. You guys want to show up?" And everybody like shows up. His whole like regiment shows up. So it was neat seeing them see the general outside of the war. Like they all went home afterwards. They're all living their regular lives. As soon as they see there, they're like, "Oh, sir, general!" And then like they're saluting, like dropping their bags and saluting him in the middle of the cabin. So it's kind of neat.
Even that level of respect is something that we haven't seen in our previous two watches either.
Yeah, right.
And so even though he's no longer a general, you don't have to do that. Like they're still out of respect. Oh, general, salute and stand up straight and wait to be addressed.
Yep.
All right. Any other values to speak on?
I'll throw this out there. I thought it was odd. Like it was just maybe it's because of it's being in a movie, but like the relationships, like the dating world that they're in. He's like, you need to get a woman and settle down. Mm-hmm. Like, and then when they went on like dates, like, hey, a couple drinks, like a cigar with a nice girl in this train car, like it's a good time. But it was just that. They weren't hinting at more than that. I mean, if they were, I went over my head, but it felt like it seems so. Yeah, right. Excellent. But it seemed like so innocent. Like, like he thought she was, really upset about the one kiss. He was like, "Oh, it's just a kiss. There's no contract or whatever. Like, if it was bothered you, let me know." Yeah. But like, they're, I don't know, their social network was in this little arena and it didn't go outside of it. They were like a kiss was still in the very social atmosphere. It wasn't further down the line.
It wasn't full on
sexual,
making out or anything like that, or hooking up. It was just like
it kept it innocent.
Only
yeah. It's like we're gonna sit in a train car. We're gonna have a few drinks with these nice ladies. We're having a good time, and it was just that. That's all they were hinting at. Not anything extra. Not the
as far as we know anyway. Yeah.
Right. But that's what was on screen. That might have been just because it's on screen why they acted that way. But it was kind of refreshing to me that they could just be
like there was no like it was less threatening that way because it was just like all they're doing is hanging out in a very public spot,
right? A very public spot
talking,
singing, yep, talking, singing, and dancing. And it wasn't they weren't like it was nice that it wasn't like a hookup culture going on. It was literally to socialize and talk,
right? And
he was like, I keep bringing you these girls. Because they're planning on talking.
If you brought that, if you said that today, it's like, oh, geez.
Yeah. He brought Doris over.
What a predator.
Yeah, like, he brought these girls over in the beginning. He's like, nah, I can't deal with that. I was like, it was refreshing to see it not be pushed super heavy.
Sure.
Like we're going to, we're gonna bang these broads and then kick them to the curb. It wasn't like that. It was very much like, hey, I'm bringing girls to come and talk with you, hang out, have a drink, and that's it.
Right.
That was
like date as in the classic sense
we're gonna
of the
court.
word.
And so it was kind of refreshing to see that kind of value.
You remind me too. I wanted to bring up that the women and men roles seemed reversed compared to like modern Hallmark movies.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, usually it's the woman focused on her career and her position, and the friends or family or the grandmothers say, oh, you ought to settle down and find someone. No, there's no time for that. I'm off to the big city, and my flight got directed to Vermont, and now I'm in this old cottage town, and
the handsome CEO of a muffin shop is.
So it's like and then like in the beginning, you're like, oh, I'm trying to get you to date and settle down, and you're like, no, there's no time for that. I thought that was kind of funny though too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What kind of favorite scenes do you guys have?
I like. Speaking of that innocence a little bit and the optimism is when they're on the train sitting there and they're singing the song Snow. Just even the optimism for Snow that they're going from Florida, all the way from Florida, this train right up the East Coast to Vermont where they're hoping to see snow, and they just their childlike optimism for seeing snow. It's if you were a child waiting for that snow day, you might sing Snow if you knew the lyrics or knew how to sing. If you were a teacher hoping for that snow day, you might sing that same song. If you were, spending Christmas in Florida, like I'm going to this week, you might think of that song and your heart might sing that song, Snow, as wonderfully as they did, the four of them. And there they are, the four of them singing it, almost building a collage on the table too, like for what a snowy scene might look like with this optimism, like this is what we're going to see. This is what it's going to look like. The whole idea of having these corny ideals. And that's a 2024 precursor for me to say corny ideals, because these are beautiful ideals that you'd be on this train ride with two guys with these two beautiful women having a coffee and a smoke, having a smoke and some coffee on this train car, just enjoying each other's company, having conversation and singing a song about how beautiful it's going to be when they get to this lodge and there's all this snow. And I mean, even like the harmonies, and you talk music for a little bit, the harmonies and the way that they take different parts and then they reverse the parts, and sometimes the girls sing the guy parts and the guy harmonizes. It creates this texture of we are a team, we are a one heartbeat unit. The four of us we're in this together, we're enjoying this ride. This experience is ours, not mine, not yours. This experience is our collective experience, and it's this idealistic view of what the world can be, this hope, this childlike optimism of what this trip can be, what our future can hold. Because you look in the film has you think that the future at the end of the film is limitless for all four of them. Mm-hmm. It's combined, it's connected, and it's limitless. And so Snow is the first time, I think, in the film that it gives that idea that they're all on board in some small way with this idea of idealistic optimism of the future. So I thought that was my favorite scene in the film, was when they were singing "Snow" on the on the train there.
Beauty. I know I've got just a couple of other hints of symbolism, and that what you just described fits right in there, but we'll get into that in a bit. Tin Man.
All right, so I have two. One of them is because of I had done a little bit of research and found out some of the background stuff about it. And so that one's going to be where the guys are trying to stall the sheriff by putting on the show as the girls.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes.
So they dress in the women's outfits. So what happened, I found out, like I was listening to someone's behind the scenes thing on it or whatever. The guys had dressed and were goofing off in the girls' outfits, and the director was like, no, let's shoot it, because the guys were joking because they were memorized all their lines. So the guys knew all their parts.
That's outstanding.
So the scene, they shot it once, goofing off, and in it, Bing Crosby's laughing through the whole thing. He's smiling like a goofball.
I absolutely love it.
And then they were like, okay, let's keep that, but let's do it for real. And they shot it a couple more times where he's serious and they're going through the act, and nobody liked it. So they cut all the other scenes. They kept the one where they goofed off in it.
No way.
And so he's actually really laughing intentionally. Like, they're
we
laughing
kind of saw
through it.
that when we watched it. When me and Vaz watched it last night, we were kind of cracking up, like, at the genuine... I don't know if we commented on it, but I was definitely thinking they look like they're having a blast right now.
It's because they were screwing around and they were like laughing and behind the scenes with the girls' outfits, and they're like, do one take. And so they did a take. Well, they're laughing. The crew was laughing too, I guess.
Yeah, I love that.
But they did the actual scene silly, and they shot it, and they tried it again a few more times serious, and they were like, nah, we're keeping the silly one. And that's what made it to the movie.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
So that's one of my favorite scenes. I don't know if this is anyone else's, but like, because and when the general first shows up to the show, the last one, because he can't find his suits. All his suits are gone.
Oh,
she's like, why are all my suits gone? She's like, you only have two. They're in the dry cleaner. He's like, I'm not wearing my... They're both, they're two, and they're both at the dry cleaner. He's like, I'm going to court-martial you. He's telling his wife that.
Right. Oh,
he's like, you have 15,000 men under you that have to replace me. You know, like, but he goes down to the show in his... He's like, the only suit I have is my military uniform. So he's like, ugh. So he puts that on. He walks out and then sees everyone, all the military guys there in the big show that they have put on for him, and they all get in line. And then he talks trash about their uniform. You guys are you guys are out of uniform. You're this, you're that. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And like that was such like a big moment, I thought, for the general, at least, because the generals, they have enough built into his character where he's wants to be back in the war. Like, you can tell that's where he excelled. All the men love him. Even they say I love him in the song, that they love their general. They'll do whatever he wants. They would die for their general. And then to have him like wanting to get back into some place in the war, like get back to something where he's in that position again, and the Pentagon wouldn't accept him back. And then the guys to do this for him to kind of give him that feel, and it was a weird word that I think it's Bing Crosby that says it to him. He's like, no, there's something to be said about leisure, sir. And he's like, don't kid a kidder, like that whole line that he had because he was having to read the letter for him, and to have him have that moment with his men again, I thought was such a cool moment. Like, it was like, oh, that's a real good, that's a good right in the feels. I thought for that scene. So those two are probably my favorite scenes in those movies.
I'll piggyback off of that because that's one of mine for sure. Is when the general's out there and they, even though it's cinematography from the 50s, on the apps it's high def and all that, you can see that his eyes are tearing up.
Yeah. Yep.
So I really like that right there, where this guy who, the movie didn't really focus on it, but he's kind of down on his luck here. He's trying to figure out what to do after the war, and Army won't accept him back, and he bought this ski resort thing, and now it's gonna go bankrupt because there's no snow. Like, how unlucky can you get?
Yeah.
And he gets the letter, and the letter says, he knows where it's going. What the letter is, the
old Tom. They call him Old Tom.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, not a place for me.
Yeah, and so to see that really speak to him in a positive way, instead of just negative.
Yeah.
And so, there's no word said there, and he's just staring up, and tears are forming. But then he recognizes a good gesture when he sees it, and goes up and talks smack to him.
Yeah.
But I did like it. There's a lot of comedy sprinkled in through here, and so some of them I liked in the beginning when Phil is talking with Bob. Well, they're talking back and forth, and Phil's trying to convince him to settle down, and they're like changing their outfits, and they're like tossing each other like their ties or whatever, and they're not even really looking at each other, just doing because they've done this so many times. They know what the other person's doing, what they're putting on, what they're taking off, and they're opening drawers or whatever for things to go in and not looking at it. So it's like they're a well-oiled machine. Even when they're talking about the subject matter that's borderline arguing about it, but they're still like, everything else is second nature to them. One of the other, it's brief, but all the platoon or whatever, what are they called? Brigade? I don't know what they're called. The group. Yeah. They show back up in their...
It's 151. I remember it was like
division.
Yeah, 151st Division.
That's it. Right. And they're putting their uniforms back on, and the last guy like doubled in size, and he's like, "Oh, something's wrong with his uniform."
Yeah, your uniform shrunk.
He's like, "Well, your appetite hasn't shrunk," or something like that. And like, of course, his tie is only about like a 5-inch tie.
Yeah.
So it was like little things like that made you chuckle. Because there was. I feel like the movie kept its tone so even throughout that when it did present something funny, it like spiked, it stood out, I think. But I think I'll lead any other favorite scenes before I move on?
Those are all mine. And then finally the culminating scene where you actually have a Christmas movie come to life.
Yeah, we're Christmas actually.
At the very end, we're like, I remember looking at Boz last night saying, I remembered this was a Christmas movie, and there it is in the last minute and a half.
What was neat? They used a real tree for that play in the background because it wasn't a perfectly manicured, like fake tree.
Yeah,
it was a real tree with just a ton of tinsel on it, but it was a.
That's
a real
part of
tree.
That other nostalgia right there, because no one uses tinsel like that anymore.
Yeah, right. We talked about that a little too. Yeah, that hanging tinsel.
Yep, my parents we had bought in tinsel and kept putting it on the tree, but it would just get roped into the fake tree. So every year we'd dig it out. It would have less and less each year, but it was just always stuck to the tree. There was just always tinsel on it because it was there from 5 years ago.
And I guess that's a thing it'd be easier to do it to real trees, I guess, to put all that tinsel on there, because then you don't have to, you just toss it all.
You just burn it in one piece.
But, if you have a fake tree, what a pain to take it on and take it off. Unless, like you said, you just get it tangled in there and it just stays
It just stays there, yeah. And it just stays. It's part of the tree now.
Part of the ship, part of the crew. So, theme, I think I'll go first on this one and just kind of see what you guys think. And I'm reminded of our discussion of Christmas movies up until this point, too, when it comes to this theme. So I said, the path of bringing others hope leads to a prize beyond worth. So all throughout, you have Bob and other characters, actually, doing things that takes work, but the result is something that money can't buy. So I'll just kind of list off the different areas that occurs. So Bob and Phil help the sisters escape from the sheriff and the landlord, and what that resulted in was them finding the loves of their life. Supposedly, we think.
Yeah.
In the beginning, Phil saves Bob's life, and Phil ends up finding a lifelong friend as well as an into the
industry,
entertainment industry, I guess. The wording here, the general treated his privates with respect.
There's a good boy.
And also his soldiers.
Yeah.
It is Christmas time after all.
And this resulted in an overwhelming sense of goodness and hope from the general when they pull off this tribute show to him at the end. We had Phil in the beginning, even when I mentioned the scene where they're dressing and undressing and throwing each other their items of clothes. He's looking out for Bob's salvation. Trying to get him to settle down and find a partner, find another focus in life, something that's worth meaning, and trying to, I guess, put him on the right path. Because I'll talk about path in a bit, and that resulted in, long term, Phil ended up finding one of the other sister, Judy. Yeah.
Yes. Betty and Judy.
Mm-hmm. And then even bringing the general this surprise tribute show, what it resulted in is like the ultimate feeling of gratitude and love from someone, especially someone that you respect. And that's something that you can't really buy with money. And it takes hard work, it takes dedication. But you see when the general is tearing up watching the show, and he comes up and he takes it in, and he shakes everyone's hands coming down, and the show goes off. That's something that money can't buy. And in fact, Bob made sure that money had really nothing to do with it. When he said, no one's going to make any money or profit off of this show. This is solely for the general, and we want to make it special.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty important there, the distinction that they said no money, and it's just the work part of it. And that reminded me of, well, you know what? I'm going to save it for when we compare it to the other two movies, because I think it has a lot to do with the other two movies, which is
okay.
I love. I've said it a few times, quite a bit, but the flow from episode to episode that we do for the show, for the podcast, we have a lot of happy accidents. It seems. I'd like to take credit for it, but it seems like the more we dig into it, the more things connect to one another, and I feel like you couldn't have made three weirder,
different.
yeah, three different movies as your chapter on Christmas. You had Children of Men, Fat Man, and White Christmas, and to me they all seem to focus on one common thing, and that's hope. So, but we'll get into that in just a couple minutes here. But the idea that Bob is bringing this hope to the general, I think, is kind of you have snow as the metaphor for it. So they first get there, there's no snow, and that is very much on par with the general's feeling of hope. It's like, I try to buy this thing and this resort, and there's no snow, so there's no people, and that means no money, and I'm going to have to foreclose on it, or whatever he said. And so by the end, with this show and the people all there, and it finally starts to snow, White Christmas, and to me that's hope finally arriving to the general. And so that's why I said it before, I'll say it again. When I look for the theme, it's things that happen throughout the movie that seem to have a stamp placed on it by the end of it. And to me, that was the stamp right there. Is Bob, you see the hope that he brought with the show to the general, and there's the stamp on it right there with the actual snow in the background as the credits roll. Yeah. So, did you guys have anything for theme, or is that
I have something.
Okay.
Do you want to go, or do you want me to go?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
I'm just going to piggyback off.
I think mine's pretty. I think pretty simple, pretty basic. It's just a statement. It takes sacrifice and effort to create the magic of Christmas. I think that's the theme of this movie. Is it's like White Christmas and the hope and ideals, and then you have like the focus being General Waverly, right? It's like he doesn't have hope at Christmas, right? He doesn't have the hope, and so you have these big performers stepping up and saying, "We're going to create, we're going to give of ourselves, we're going to sacrifice, and we're going to bring this magic of Christmas to General Waverly." I don't know if that can be a theme, but it's like the message of this. Like I was trying to look for the Christmas message, and I'm like, if I can make it a Christmas message, I'm going to talk about that Christmas magic that a Christmas movie probably should have. And then how do you accomplish that? Like we said with kids, with our childhood, we talked in the first Christmas podcast, it's usually the efforts of moms, and thankfully some dads, some grandparents. It's the effort of others to make the holiday special. I think of Christmas in my own youth. It's the things that my grandmother, my mom, my sisters, sometimes my dad, never my brothers, but always my sisters, my grandparents, and to make it special, to make it magic, to do the extra. And that took sacrifice. I don't think I saw it until now, but it took them going above and beyond and sacrificing to make it special. And so you have Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye's characters, and these Rosemary Clooney. The other folks sacrificing their own schedules and their own wealth, their own time to make this Christmas miraculous and idealistic.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Yep.
The Tin Man, you said you wanted to chime in on.
Oh, I was just going to piggyback off you guys, but that was that's how it felt. Like they're trying to make this all land, and it ends up landing like right on Christmas. Like it's a lot of show going on. It's a lot of maneuvering around in order for the guys to like get a show put together, and teaming up with the girls to try to build something. And then once they get to the general, they realize what they want to do for him, because they get to put the show on together. It's like a win for us. It's a win for the girls, for us as a group, and it's a win for the general if we can do all this together. And it all ends up on Christmas. Like it ends up on the Christmas, and they sing the White Christmas song once in the very beginning, very solemnly, by himself. Bing Crosby sings it while they're at war, as like hey, it's Christmas Eve. We're not actively fighting right now. We can put on a show, and we'll do it for the general. And they get to do it again in the end for his benefit, for everyone's benefit, and kind of like a culmination of everything that they've been trying to work for. So it was kind of neat having it put all together like that, showing it at the end, and then once again at the beginning.
Kind of a callback to, that was one of his purposes, was to bring hope to the people that needed it.
Yeah.
Because it was the same reaction that the soldiers had in the beginning when he was singing. People kind of like looking into the distance and trying to remember. Like you could see them, each soldier had like this look of hope or dream like on their face, and it was the same look that the general had at the end.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's part of the nostalgia of Irving Berlin's song, White Christmas, is, released Holiday Inn a dozen years before, just after during World War II. Holiday Inn, where that song was originally performed. And, like I said, won a lot of adoration and accolades, and then re-released 12 years later in a movie titled by its same name. I would imagine it'd be almost therapeutic, cathartic for soldiers to hear that song again and see it, and almost tell the story handwritten for maybe someone coming back with post-traumatic stress disorder, or coming back, and the idea of the general song that he sang on the national TV show that he sang. Those are almost like messages to veterans coming back in the 50s, veterans who are now probably 30 years old, 31 years old.
Yeah.
And maybe struggling to find their feet again. And you can just see how that became part of American culture. And then how that just rips at the heart in a good way. It just tugs those heartstrings of people that grew up in America, post-World War II. And just how you're coming back from this huge trauma, and you're trying to wrap your arms around these soldiers and around each other, saying, we survived this trauma here, we're moving forward, and this is just another tool we have. This is something else we can wrap our hands around. And I just think it's so, the song itself is moving to me. The song itself is moving because it's more or less a war song. It's like bringing you back to a soldier when Bing Crosby first sings it on the front line, singing, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow." You can, hold on, sleigh bells in the snow anyway. You can just see that, and those soldiers when he's singing it, and even the general looking up, like they're all nostalgic there.
Yeah.
They're just thinking about that. And Irving Berlin's song, kid who was born in Siberia, a Jew born in Siberia, writing this song about a holiday he doesn't celebrate, but he had his finger on the pulse of it because he came from war-torn parts of the world, and he came and moved to America, and wrote the song, started in California, and finished it in the Catskills in New York. So
really?
He did see, people are like, oh, the song was written by a Jewish guy in California where they didn't even have snow. No, he finished writing the song here in the snow country.
Yeah.
So he did, he could write and relate to the idea of a white Christmas.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, I just thought that it just pours nostalgia. Theme just pours nostalgia.
Nice.
All right. So let's compare this movie then to our previous two choices, Children of Men and Fat Man. So I alluded to it earlier, but I feel like all three, and even a previous selection, which you could argue if it's a Christmas movie or not, Babe, kind of have an idea of like an easy path of individual success and a harder path, the right path, filled with conflict and hard times, but with the result being something that's invaluable. So Babe, you had this path of kindness and respect that it was hard for the character to go through and still be true to that idea, with characters like Rex and just being a pig on a farm and the conflicts with a cat and and everything, but persevered on this path of goodness and ends up changing how we feel about the character and changes the boss's idea of what a pig can be used for. Children of Men, you had Theo could have at any point just returned back to his daily grind as a office worker.
He didn't have to agree with any of it.
He didn't have to. It wasn't his ideals at that point of his life.
Would have been easier for him.
Go back, just collect a paycheck, do your work, go home, and easy. But he chose the harder path of doing what was right for humanity and trying to deliver this miracle to the world and protect it at all costs. And, it ultimately cost him his life doing so. And then Fat Man would have been pretty easy for Santa or Chris to agree to any contract the military brought to him and to just say, okay, yep, enough coal then, I'm just going to deliver presents. Everyone's a good boy. Here, you get a present, you get a gift. Everyone gets gifts. No more coal. But he stuck to his guns and made sure that people were held accountable and that there was still goodness in the world. And then you got this movie where Bob could have just gone and done his solo act, and even Betty could have continued her solo act, but saw that there was a path of goodness and hope to be spread. And it was going to take a lot of work. Bob had to pull a few strings and call in favors, and you could see how often they were practicing this number or this whole performance, and you knew it wasn't easy based on how intricate these the dances were and everything. So it was definitely a harder path to take here, and one that Betty gets mad at him for no reason, from his point of view, no reason at all. He just wants to shun him from her life, and he's like, well, all right. Well, I don't know what I did, but I got to keep pressing forward. So I thought it was pretty interesting that all of these movies connect to one another through this idea of the staying on the harder path that brings hope and goodness to the world, instead of just the easier path where it's, fortune and whatever to yourself and yourself only. So,
That's me. If you don't know what that is, that's me clapping because I love the hope.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Nice. Well, that's a good tie-in.
I got nothing to add to that. Zero.
Yeah.
Well, here's another common thing. I'd like to get to know a little bit more about it too, but the idea that there's a lot of military involvement in everything.
Huh.
So, Children of Men. I mean, there's
They're in a militaristic state.
Yeah.
Oh,
everyone's military, just shooting everything.
Yeah.
You had the rebels and the fishes or whatever, and then the Britain's military at conflict with them. Fat Man, obvious. The military's in there making deals with Santa and fighting off Skinny Man, and then this one that's it's soldiers home from war, and then the climax and the final performance is they're all in military forms singing good things about the military, like more so than like Christmas. Yeah. So, so I'd like to. I think that'd be interesting. I'm not such a history buff, but I think it'd be interesting to see what the connection is there. Why military plays such a large role in feeling Christmassy.
I think that answer doesn't even have to be that deep. Just again, the feeling of hope. You're on the battlefront. You're just thinking of being home again. Hope you survive the next day. Hope you make it from going over the top.
Yeah.
Hope you make it to your next furlough going home.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
It must be like a little more like either for thematic reasons why it's a big contrast of having military duty and then having that break and then some hope for being at Christmas with family, away from struggles or away from stress.
I think you're right. I think you said the word contrast. It just creates a wonderful contrast. Wonderful being war is not wonderful, but you think of what's the opposite of peace, and it's war.
Yeah.
The opposite of joy, it's terror.
Or home and family.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
being
yeah.
away.
Being alone and being on the front lines by yourself.
One of the things I think may play a role is the idea of being selfless when you're a soldier. You're out there risking your life, not knowing if you'll ever see your loved ones again. And just that idea of being selfless around the holidays, even in modern times here, giving to the poor or, donating your time and your efforts and, just serving others and trying to bring hope to the people that need it most around this time of year. So I think maybe that has a connection to it as well. The mindset of a soldier giving up himself for his loved ones, even though they may not know the hardships that you're going through at the moment. You're fighting for them, Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're able to find the Christmasness of Children of Men and Fat Man. And then when it came to this movie, we've kind of hinted at it a little bit, but did it hold up as a Christmas movie? Even, we're asking this question about White Christmas, with Christmas in the title, and then we're defending Children of Men and Fat Man. So it should be an interesting little discourse here.
I remember having my first rubric was, is Christmas in the title? Then yes, it goes right to, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But it's like this one, out of all three of them, if I had to throw them up, and you know how they play the game sometime where you put up, here's some characters, here's some scenes, here's some themes. Which one? Pick the two Christmas movies. This would be the last one of the three movies that I would say, this is in fact a Christmas movie. And it holds to I think sometimes the very basics of my rubric, but I don't even know if it qualifies with my own rubric. and that's partly, like I said at the onset, it's part of the reason why I picked it, was because it seems like such an obvious no-brainer. But, man, you'd struggle to make it a Christmas movie if it weren't for the first and last scenes.
Yeah, right.
It would be real hard-pressed. It looks like a National Pride, a Chamber of Commerce pamphlet for supporting, I want you to join the Army type of thing.
Yeah.
So it holds less water than. Now, if you just show me the sleeve of the movie, and it shows them all adorned in the
Just
Christmas
a picture
movie,
of that last scene.
then of course it's a Christmas movie.
Right.
But if it's based on the merits of what it's, what's in the film, not as clear as even the other two.
It fits my rubric.
It sure does. Okay, here it is, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How about yours? Was it your response?
Well, I'll go Tin Man next year. Was there ever any doubt of this being a Christmas movie, or do you, if you had to rank them, how
It's
how
pretty low.
Christmassy?
Like, I think Die Hard's more of a Christmas movie.
You might not be wrong. I want to wrestle right now, but he might not be wrong.
The aesthetics of Die Hard are pretty much on par with what you get in this.
Hey,
movie.
there's Christmas throughout
Yes.
Die Hard. There's not Christmas throughout this movie.
Right? Seriously.
It has Christmas elements in the end. It's very much like a tribute to the general, and the song "White Christmas" is what is. I think the movie is supposed to be based on, is just the song, and they really took a long way to build up throughout the movie to get to that point.
Yeah.
But it does culminate with this song and on a Christmas show, but it's enough to fit mine. And I have the lowest burden, like the lowest level to reach this level, but it fits enough for mine to say that it's a Christmas movie.
And it's pretty interesting because if you listed off all the movies, and you said White Christmas, like, people are like, oh, that's definitely a Christmas movie.
Right.
There's not even a second thought. There's not even, well, let me point this out and that out. No, it's a Christmas movie. And then you talk Children of Men, I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah,
I
right.
know.
And then Fat Man, I was like, yeah, kind of like Die Hard, though, isn't it? And then you point out with Children of Men, like, well, what about the nativity? And it's showing you the idea of miracle and hope and all that. Like,
It came out Christmas Day.
yeah, and it's
Like that's when it was released. Even.
Yeah.
I can't argue if you're going to say nativity. And then with Fat Man, that you start to describe Santa and, the idea of just, being good, as Kmax put it, being good for goodness sakes. And then it's going, oh, fine. And then you describe this movie as it's more of a romance movie at first. And so you start off, well, of course it's a Christmas movie, and then you describe it, and well, wait. You keep describing it, then I'll tell you when it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, that's right.
So then, it kind of wavers a little bit there until when you see the theme, because, for a good portion of the movie, it follows a lot of romantic movie cliches and whatever. Well, at the time, I don't know if they're cliches. It's 70 years ago.
Right.
So that could have been one of the forefathers of Hallmark movies. But you kind of start thinking, well, I guess it's not so much a Christmas movie. And then I go back and forth, though, because, you kind of go that way. And then just like the Tin Man in Wizard of Oz, he starts leaning one way and he leans the other. Or was that Tin Man or was that Scarecrow? I can't remember. Oh, it's Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
But then I think I'm comparing it to the two movies now, and here's where they differ. So to me, a lot of Christmas movies, like contemporary ones, is, where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you? They're trying to find the meaning of Christmas, Cindy Lou Who. Children of Men is kind of, you're on a search for hope. And
Yeah. Polar Express.
Polar Express, you're trying to you validate, there's still magic here, right? Like there's still what's Christmas and what does it mean to me? Why is it real? What's special about it? And I start to think about the difference in times and values, and I'm wondering if back then the bells and whistles compared to today. So today, I feel like we're born with knowing the decorations and the aesthetics and the bells and whistles and bows and trees, and then losing sight of what it's about. Compared to back then, they'd be born with knowing what it's about, and all you need are the bells and whistles to accentuate it.
Uh-huh.
So then I start thinking that might be the big difference between the times here, is that back then you knew what the spirit was, and now you don't know what the spirit is. And I think I have it kind of... So back then the spirit is kind of implied, like you're born with it, and Christmas aesthetic doesn't need to be there because people during that time already feel the spirit. And then modern Christmas movies, I'd say, modern-ish, you're surrounded by aesthetic, but in search of the spirit. So I thought, well, in that case, if I'm looking at the movie's theme and I'm looking at what it's capitalizing on and what it's trying to tell me, then I would say it's been a Christmas movie for longer than any of us have been alive. And I think that's why, is because over the times, people have changed, the audience has changed, but the movie hasn't changed. So to me, the idea that these people back then knew what Christmas was, because they're in the song, they're remembering what it was, not searching for it.
Oh, yeah.
So so that was my thought. So it was kind of like, I can't compete with history, and history says that this is a Christmas movie. And when I connect all the dots here, I have to agree. And especially when you tie in the theme and overall message to it, of hope and giving of yourself. The Holiday Cheermeister of the Year award goes to the one that needs hope the most, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's giving of yourself and the selflessness and bringing hope to other people that need it most. So that was my thought, and that's why ultimately I think it's got to be a Christmas movie. And it's
beautiful.
And it's not, to me, it's not as weak as we might discuss, might have discussed earlier.
Sure.
So to me, it's still right up there, even though it was my first time seeing it.
I can't say how grateful I am that you guys watched. I know you've said at different times to me in Tin Man that you're thankful that we watched some of the films. Just to kind of recap my thoughts of the season, you said to me in Tin Man about, thanks for putting up with this, or thanks for putting up with this. I knew listening to a musical movie and watching wasn't going to be easy for any of the three of us. We got busy lives. And so I'm grateful you guys did and took the time to just step back and analyze it and look at it and find those things that I didn't even find. I couldn't label why I valued it so high as a Christmas movie. Why when we picked them, I said right off the bat, boom, there's mine. I couldn't even put it into, the nostalgia wrapped around it. I couldn't even place why I felt so strongly about it. And yet what it is exactly kind of what you kind of nutshelled right there, is just a longing for that hope and certainty of what Christmas was back then. And it's like in a film right here, boom, here's how it was, here's how it felt. And when I watch it, I feel that way again, and I'm not even sure why. To me, that's what the definition of nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's there and you feel it. And that's what goes into the overarching definition of what Vaz kind of said, what a Christmas movie is. At all, is it a Christmas movie to you? How you define Christmas.
Yeah.
Does it bring you more into the spirit? Does it lock you in? Does it prep you? Is it, when you watch it, do you feel Christmas? And, so Anyway, thanks, guys. I can't add to, because I talk forever, I can add, but I can't add any sense or anything logical to why that makes it such a beautiful Christmas movie, but it is a beautiful Christmas movie. And that sums it up real nice.
All right.
Excellent.
So, again, this is our last recording for season 1. We'll probably give it at least a good couple weeks here, maybe a month or two time in between, and pick back up with season 2. Themes or chapters and whatnot to be determined. But we got some ideas. You guys want to comment on anything throughout the first season?
Don't forget to check out the Depth Perception Movie Podcast on Instagram. Depth Perception Movie Podcast on Instagram. Feel free to look at any of the episodes, comment there on any episodes. I know for a fact I'm running a little bit behind on all of those because of the season and because of work, and turns out other things that we have going on, but really want to get on that, and we really want to hear from you. Thanks for those who do give us feedback. It means a lot to us. Thanks for a couple gifts and cards we've gotten from listeners. That is wonderful also. Not saying we're not soliciting gifts, but we are thankful for those who are paying attention and giving us feedback. It means everything to us. Thanks, guys.
I'm looking back at how everything went, and even though I was kind of the host and curated a lot of the stuff that we did, it was still cool to find things out as I was going along and figuring out how much my own faith and beliefs tie into my enjoyment of movies, and solidified, what I already thought, but the joy that I get from sharing it with some other people. So, and almost because you guys are part of the podcast, so it was, kind of forced, like, you guys have to listen to me now. but it was fun to dive into it together, especially movies that I may not have seen so much, and then also being able to bring movies that you guys didn't know as much, and movies like Mother, where I don't know if I could have convinced you guys otherwise to see it.
That one, Skinamarink.
Yeah.
But I was just getting over it, man. I just peed. Thank you.
You're like activating the Winter Soldier there.
No, 2 words. All of a sudden, Chris is blinking.
Yeah. But yes, thank you guys for joining along, and thank you to whatever listeners we have that have tuned in and were brave enough to watch some of the same movies that we watched. And we know it's not easy to give up your time. We're 3 fathers here. We got a police, teacher, and nurse as the podcasters here, so we're trying to find time ourselves, so we know how difficult it is to spend a few hours to listen to what we got to say about some movies, but we thank you anyway. And we got some new ideas and movies ready to go for the next season, so we're excited to get that going. But anything else, guys?
Tin Man might have something. I just wanted to, before we sign off for this year, want to say Merry Christmas to both of you guys.
Yes. Merry Christmas
and Happy New Year. I'm a better person for having known both of you guys.
Likewise.
Thank you. Agreed.
You said greed?
Agreed.
He called me Creed from the office. Thank you, Creed.
I just got greed.
What I like about this is that we actually get to, because I was wondering, I'm going on 40, and I don't have anything new that I'm doing in my life. It's all the same stuff that I've been doing for the last 20 years. And this is something that I could say is just like a new exercise, new experience that we're getting to have. And it's a nice way to look at movies that I've seen before. And there's so many movies that I watch that I would rate like a 5 or 6. And then after reviewing, finding deeper meanings and themes behind these movies now went from 5 or 6 to 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. So it's so cool to see the depth, the detail, the meanings behind some of the things I might have passively looked at, now looking actively at them. And it's it's a really cool exercise to have this in this medium in order to do it with everyone. And
Right.
that my family's like, oh, you're doing your movie thing now? Okay. And they grant me this time to get away to exercise my brain a little
Yeah,
bit.
and it does feel like exercise at points where, I finished writing my notes. I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
time for bed. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well, yes, I think that's all I have. I know how to close it out.
All right.
You ready? Snow.
Snow. That wasn't bad harmony, by the way.
I can't.